sorry a bit late. I tried putting my phone in the little tripod and then it just switched off for some reason, which was quite rude. But anyway, it is less than 3 weeks before the 31st of January deadline for your self-assessment tax return. So if you haven't done it yet, then do stay tuned because I'm going to give you some tips on how to get through this process. Hi, Tracy. It's just, come on. How are you doing? So if you want specific advice, unfortunately I can't really give you that because everyone's situation is different and some sections of the form might not be relevant to everyone, so then they'll zone out. But if you want general tips on how to get through the process, stay tuned. If you need more specific help, then contact HMRC. They've got a helpline and they've got loads of resources online. So if you still need to do your tax return, unfortunately you have missed the paper deadline, so you will still have to do it online. And personally, I would do it online anyway because it's less of a faff. If you do it the paper version, then you have to make sure you've got the correct supplementary pages in. Whereas if you do it online, the form tailors itself to whatever information you put in. So it will take out sections you don't need and it will make sure any sections you do need are in there. Brilliant. If you haven't registered already, because maybe it's your first year of needing to do a tax return, I would do it now, after the video, but register online today because then HMRC will send you a activation code so you can actually access the online form. They send that via post though, and that can take up to 10 working days. So at least if you register today, you should have that activation code by Friday, the 26th of January. So then at least you'll have that weekend and a couple of days to do your tax return. I wouldn't leave it right up until then, I'd do it that weekend. If you are abroad, unfortunately, it does take about 21 days for them to send you that code, so you will miss the deadline. If for any reason you miss the deadline of 31st of January, they automatically add a £100 penalty on the 1st of February. It is quite difficult to lift that. You have to have a really serious reason, and they judge things on a case-by-case basis, so just because someone else you know got the penalty lifted for the same reason you're giving as well, that doesn't necessarily mean you'll get it lifted. So try and do it earlier if you can. Who needs to fill in a tax return? Usual suspects are people who have their own business, or they're self-employed. But also, if you weren't resident in the UK during the tax year 2016-2017 and you have some foreign income, you'd also need to do a tax return. Safest thing to do is to go on the HMRC website, and they do have a tool where you answer questions, and then based on the responses you give, it'll tell you whether you need to do a tax return. However, if you've got any friends who maybe they've had a really great promotion lately and now maybe they earn over 100k, they might not realise they need to do a tax return, because even if you're in a single salary job, you don't have your own business, you don't deal in shares or property or anything, but if you earn over 100k, you still need to do a tax return. The reason for that being is that once you earn over 100k, you start losing your personal tax allowance. So HMRC need you to do a tax return so they can check that calculation of your personal tax allowance is correct. So if you've got any friends who might fall into that category, help them out, just give them a poke and say, have you done your tax return? That might be something you need to do. Ideally, you would have all the information you need before you start your tax return, like all documentation, but you don't have to necessarily wait until you've got everything before you start the tax return. And also, because you can go back to it later, you can save it and then go back to it later. And personally, especially if you're waiting for this activation code, which might not come for a couple of weeks, I would look online at the paper version that is available and have a look at the questions for things you might need to gather. And if you can already access your online form, I would start doing it and looking at the questions and seeing what documentation you need. Usual things you need, if you're in employment, you need your P60, your P11D, and your payslips. Because it's a 2016-17 year, you might not have those around, especially your P11, P60, P11D, P60, they normally give them to you in May, so it'll be May 2017. So I'd get requests into HR now in case you can't find them. If you have your own business, you'll need your business accounts. Other usual information you need are pension information and interest statements from banks or building societies. And any other information will be dependent on your circumstances. Include everything in the boxes. If you think, well, I was taxed at source for this, I don't need to put it in, just put it in anyway, put it in the boxes, because it will affect your tax calculation and you can get into trouble if you don't put everything in. So fill in all the boxes as best you can. You don't need to send loads of supporting documentation, only send like your business accounts and things like that if they actually ask for it. They'll ask for it if they need it. Otherwise, it slows the process down for them to go through the information to your tax return, and they'll probably ask you again for it anyway. Do check all the questions as well. Sometimes they ask for your gross income, which is before tax. Sometimes they ask for the tax deducted for that type of income. And sometimes they ask for the net income, so after tax. So double check you're putting in the right figure as well, and read the fine print. There's various fine print around the forms. Common sense is read it. Once you get to the end, good on you. I would personally take a break, because you've probably been working on it really hard. You may be sick of looking at the thing, and you do need to check it before you send it off. So take a break. It's good to step away from the screen anyway, so it's good for your eyes. Have a cup of tea, maybe even come back to it with fresh eyes, and then you'll be able to look at it more thoroughly and check properly that you've got everything that you need to put in there to the best of your knowledge. If you do make a mistake and you've already hit submit, don't panic. You can make changes up to the 31st of January 2019. Obviously, it's ideal if you don't have to do that, because then it'll change your tax liability and it's a faff, but it's not the end of the world if you do realise you've made a mistake, an honest mistake. Great, so once you've hit submit, you'll get to a confirmation page, which will also have a reference number for you. I would print that page, either hard copy to PDF and save it on your computer, whatever's easiest for you. I would keep a copy of it, because that is your confirmation, that is your proof that you've done your tax return, and you might need that reference number if you need to talk to HMRC about anything. So hopefully you'll have a better idea of the process, and once you've gone through it this year, especially if it's your first time, you'll have a better idea of what you need to do and what documentation you need to gather for next year. So personally, I would make a note of all the documents you needed to gather for this year, as unless your circumstances change massively, that's what you'll need next year as well. So you can make a list of it and then keep that as like a checklist, and put together a special designated tax folder for this year will be the 2017-18 year, once you've done the 2016-17 tax return, which is what's due on the 31st of January. I'd have a designated hard copy folder or an electronic folder on your computer, or both if you want, because sometimes the information comes in different formats, and keep a copy of that list and check off the things as you go through it to make sure that everything is in a safe place and you've got everything as you go through. Particularly if you're going to have several jobs during the year and several businesses, and maybe you leave a venture or you leave a job and it's not in the best terms, you don't really want to be in the position several months later saying, actually, I need this piece of paper again to do your tax return. Let's not go down that road. Okay, so main points coming out of this. Register online if you haven't already after the video, and go through the questions either on the online form or on the paper version that is available online if you've got to wait for your activation code, and start gathering the information that you need and filling in questions as you go through. And then just do it, check it, and then send it, and print your confirmation to prove that you've done it. And do it all by the 31st of January. So good luck, I'm sure you'll be fine, and I hope this has been helpful for you to get through this year and to make things better for next year. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and comment, and I'll be doing videos every 2 weeks on finance tips. So do follow me if you want more updates. Anyway, bye for now. Bye.